Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try and strike a balance in between the last two presenters. You know, I might be partial, but to me one of the most important things that government can do is build schools for our kids. And that's why it's so troubling to hear today the province is not going to deliver on a promise to build 19 schools within 3 years because of a contract agreement. Now, let's remember the government already reneged on the election promise to build 50 and renovate 70 during this term. We are in desperate need of schools for our kids. To the Minister of Infrastructure, how in the world did this happen, and can government not find a way to prioritize the building of schools?
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, our government knows how important it is to build schools for our children and for our families of this province, Mr. Speaker. It's very important, and we will deliver on these promises. What the member is saying we've reneged, we haven't reneged on nothing, Mr. Speaker. We will build 50 new schools and modernize in 70. And this P3 contract is not done, Mr. Speaker. We've saved a lot of money for the province of Alberta by building P3s, and I will not apologize for that.
Honourable member.
Forgive me for not being convinced. Mr. Speaker, our schools are bursting at the seams. Many of them look like modular factories, when you can find the modulars, that is. So given that, and given that if these commitments are not met, we're going to have an incredibly large list of communities that will be unable to provide classrooms for our kids. I'll ask the Education Minister, can you not work with your Infrastructure Minister and government to make sure that government delivers on the promises that it makes to Albertans?
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, we are delivering on the promises we made to Albertans, and our Infrastructure Minister is a big part of that. And his department and my ministry are doing incredible work. And as of right now, there's about 100 projects that have either just been completed or underway and announced in this province. It's going to give us an incredible increased capacity in terms of desks and capacity for our students. Obviously, this situation, this tendering situation, is not ideal. But as the minister said, he's able to move forward, and we're still going to be able to announce 50 new schools and 70 modernizations, and even more upon that.
Honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, our kids are in hallways, they're on stages, they are in gymnasiums, and they are in community halls. Again, to the Minister of Infrastructure, given the obvious problem here, couldn't the government spend less time putting up signs up all over the province, telling everybody what it intends on doing and then taking pictures in front of them, and maybe more time walking the walk and building the schools that the kids in this province so desperately need?
Hear, hear.
Speaker, in answering this question, I would strongly recommend that the member pick up his leader's speech of this morning and try to correlate his request for additional schools, for additional trailers, with her promise of not building anymore, not having any more debt, and extinguishing Albertans' debt, Mr. Speaker. You can't have both. This government has made a promise to deliver, to build for the growth in this province, to provide children with classrooms, to provide seniors with housing, to provide patients with hospital space, not based on the notes from the leader of extinguishing hope and not building anymore, and not to incur any debt, as she tends to call it. Get your story straight.
Honourable member, your point of order at 2:38 has been